Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Wondering if you have anybody there who might like to lead to Kirtan. I know Philip Prabhu sometimes is there.
Yeah, he's not here at the moment. Maybe he'll join, but no, I don't have anyone.
Okay, so I'll start us out. Krishna,
Okay.
if that's all right, Maharaj.
Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Marsh, are you able to?
Om Vishnupad. Yes, Jai Om Vishnupad, Panaman Suparika, Dukacharya, Ashto, Turasatri, Srimad, Isi, Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Raj, Prabhupada, Ki Jai. Anand Koshi, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai, Navadip Tham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Jamanamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaurana Hari Bol.
Welcome everyone to Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is June. Pardon?
Yes, carry on.
Okay. Where was I? Okay, it is June 10th, 2025, and today we're starting with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 16, Text 18. Om Namo
18. Okay, good.
18. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, text 18. Dehinam Atmavat Prasta Surdam Nandi Vardana Muktasanga Prasangoyam Danda Panir Sadhu Su. Translation: The king will consider all embodied living entities as dear as his own self, and he will always be increasing the pleasures of his friends. He will intimately associate with liberated persons, and he will be a chastising hand to all impious persons. Purport: The word Dehinam refers to those who are embodied. The living entities are embodied in different forms which number 8,400,000 species. All of these were treated by the king in the same way he would treat himself. In this age, however, so-called kings and presidents do not treat all other living entities as their own self. Most of them are meat eaters, and even though they may not be meat eaters and may pose themselves to be very religious and pious, they still allow cow slaughter within their state. Such sinful heads of state cannot actually be popular at any time. Another significant word in this verse is muktasanga prasanga, which indicates that the king was always associating with liberated persons. Maharaj or others, do you have comments on this verse?
Well, Om Jnana-Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakrun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Maiham Dadhati Shapadanti Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Satsadivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Purujana Stititam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakandita He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenavanto Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Sapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krisha Bhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Priya Vansha Kolpatirubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Kevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayadvaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Govinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This Mukta Sangha Prasangata, is that right? Mukta Sangha Press Mukta Sangha Prasanga. The king would intimately associate with those who were not associated or free from association with material attachment, material contamination. Prasanga. There's Sangha, association, and Prasanga is intimate association. So what is that? You can tell a man by the company he keeps. The materialistic heads of state associate with those who are materially attached, who are sinful by nature, who are addicted to material enjoyment. And so we can understand what kind of people these heads of state are. But the king was associated with Mukta Sangha Param Virjate, those who are free from material attachment. And Dandapani is sadhusu. He'll be a chastising hand, Dandapani, for a sadhusu, the criminals. That we discussed also. The king should not be soft on evildoers or those who are criminals. They should be dealt with strongly. So Dehinam Atmavat, he'll consider all living beings dear to him, and but he'll be very strong against the criminals. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hey, we have something in the chat from Saraswati Mataji, Brahms Parampuja Maharaj, and all the Vaishnavas. What does it mean that the king will increase the pleasure of his friends? It doesn't mention these friends are all liberated souls. So not sure why King Prithu would apply himself in increasing pleasures of friends who are not liberated souls.
Give me 1 second. Yes, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur just says, Nandivardhana, to increase the happiness of his friends. We would assume that since he avoided the association of materialists, his friends would have been people of high caliber. Generally we say, well, every politician increases the happiness of his friends. What's the word? That's what they do. They appoint their friends to government posts, and their friends love them because the friends get high salaries and don't have to do a lot of work. So those comments would be there. But Nandivardhana, Surita, we can only assume that his friends would have been people of high caliber. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Saraswati Mashi, are you able to read the next verse? We're on text 19.
Yes, pranams to all. Text 19. Ayam tu sakshat bhagavam stri atisha kutastha atma kalaya vatirnaha yasmina vidya rachitam niratakam pashyanti nanatvam api pratitam. Purport. The king is the master of the three worlds, and he is directly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is without change, and he is an incarnation of the Supreme, known as Shakti Avesha Avatar. Being a liberated soul and completely learned, he sees all material varieties as meaningless because their basic principle is nescience. Purport. The reciters of these prayers are describing the transcendental qualities of Prithu Maharaj. These qualities are summarized in the words Sakshad Bhagavan. This indicates that Maharaj Prithu is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead and therefore possesses unlimited good qualities. Being an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Maharaj Prithu could not be equaled in his excellent qualities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully equipped with 6 kinds of opulences, and King Prithu was also empowered in such a way that he could display these 6 opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in full. The word kutstha, meaning without change, is also very significant. There are 2 kinds of living entities, Nitya Mukta and Nitya Baddha. Nitya Mukta never forgets his position as the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who does not forget this position and knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord is Nitya Mukta. Such a Nitya Mukta living entity represents the Supersoul as his expansion. As stated in the Vedas, Nitya Nityanam, thus the Nitya Mukta living entity knows that he is an expansion of the Supreme Nitya, or the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead. Being in such a position, he sees the material world with a different vision. The living entity, who is Nitya Baddha, or eternally conditioned, sees the material varieties as being actually different from one another. In this connection, we should remember that the embodiment of the conditional soul is considered to be like a dress. One may dress in different ways, but a really learned man does not take dresses into consideration. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 5.18, Vidya Vinyasampana Brahmana Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Swapakacha Pandita Samdarshina. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcast. Thus, a learned man does not look upon the dresses that externally cover the living entity, but sees the pure soul within the varieties of dress, and knows very well that the varieties of dress are the creation of nations, avidya rachitam. Being a Shaktiyavesha avatar, empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prithu Maharaj did not change his spiritual position, and consequently, there was no possibility of his viewing the material world as reality. Om Gyanantimirindasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we are learning more about what it means to be an empowered Shaktiyavesha avatar, and how Prithu Maharaj is represented here as directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, possessing all six opulences in full. And of course, we know that the six kind of opulences are wealth, fame, beauty, knowledge, renunciation, and strength. And it's stated that, well, there are two kinds of living beings. There are those eternally liberated souls, Nitya Mukta, who never forget their constitutional position as an eternal servant of the Lord, and are therefore always deriving ever increasing bliss by engaging in the personal service of the Lord. So they have a very intimate relationship with the Lord as a servitor. And as an indirect opposite position is the Nitya Bad, the trapped souls in the material world under the influence of Maya, and Maya's special Shakti known as Avidya Shakti, which covers the knowledge and identity of the spiritual soul, as is the case with conditional souls. They have completely forgotten what it is that they ought to be doing, what their function is, what relationship that they have with the Lord. So that's in direct contrast with a liberated soul. And I came across a verse today in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 8.274, and it sort of really pertains to what we've been reading. And it's quoted, Stavara Changama Dekhe Na Dekhe Tara Murti Sarvatra Haya Nijeshta Deva Spruti. A Vaishnava never sees the material form of anything moving or non-moving. Rather, everywhere he looks, he sees the energy of Krishna and immediately remembers the transcendental form of the Lord. So just as in the verse, it's stated quite clearly how the liberated souls interact and view everything that they see in the material world. Their vision is completely different to that of the contaminated vision of a conditional soul. They are seeing everything as an energy, one of the energies of Krishna, and therefore their interaction is always in full knowledge that Krishna is the supreme proprietor of everything, and therefore everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. So their vision is completely different to that of a conditional soul whose main interest in life and falsely thinking that they're the Lord of everything that they survey. And in most cases, enough is never enough. No matter how much they manage to accumulate, it's never going to be enough, because they feel that they're the Lord of everything, and everything should be used and for their sense gratification. So we see the complete difference in the visions of a liberated soul and a conditional soul. Also, sorry, I'm just sort of juggling here on Prahlad Maharaj. Also, I found something really interesting with what Prahlad Maharaj said in Srimad Bhagavatam. He said, Krishna grahe grihatmana veda jagat idrasham. One who is Krishna conscious does not distinguish between things, material and spiritual. He takes everything to be related to Krishna, and therefore spiritual, and therefore everything is spiritual. So it's just another really reinforcing this whole idea of how everything, whether it's sort of distinguished seemingly as material, it actually all stems from the spiritual energies of the Lord, but how one uses that or how one views that, that is the main difference. Hare Krishna, if Maharaj can clarify further, thank you.
Yes. Could you give me that again, just that last bit that you wanted me to clarify? Sorry.
No, I was just thinking that, well, what Prahlad Maharaj said, yes, but for a conditional soul, it's very difficult to try. Okay, theoretically, we understand that there is this difference, but sometimes for a conditional soul, it might be really difficult to apply that knowledge that one may know theoretically on a consistent basis. So I'm just wondering, like yes, how can one sort of unfailingly always be in a position where they are applying this knowledge? Because it's, well, in my case, it's so easy to sort of veer off track, and you sort of know it, but on a consistent basis to try and apply that and have that sort of vision. Because right now, for me, it's a theory. I don't personally experience that vision that, of course, advanced devotees have. So I'm just wondering if someone's
We have
in
to
my
consistently take shelter of Krishna and depend on Krishna. We're not infallible. What is that? Kshara akshara evacha in the Bhagavad Gita. There are two kinds of living entities, the fallible and the infallible. So we belong to the fallible category, but Krishna's even above the infallible. So we want to be, what's the word, free from failure as far as possible, then we have to take shelter of Krishna. What else can we do? Even then, we may sometimes fail, but our business is to take shelter of Krishna and depend on Krishna to guide us. What more can we do? On our own strength, if we try to be infallible, that will not work. But by Krishna's mercy, we may be able to follow his instructions. That's the main thing. If we follow Krishna's instructions are infallible. Or if we repeat what Krishna says, then our words will be infallible. In that way, we have to try. Is that all right?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. I think the problem is people have identified correctly that I'm a control freak, and that I'm just sort of trying to, even though I know this, that we can't control anything, but this is my failing, that people have identified that I'm just sort of a control freak. Like I just want to try and control things. Hare Krishna.
Well, we have to be controlled. If we come under Krishna's control, that will be good. Then even if we're control freaks, if we have a tendency to control, at least if we agree to be controlled, then our control may be a little useful. But if we ourselves refuse to be controlled, then we just want to control others. That will not be very good. The Kshatriyas, they want to control, but they accept the position of being controlled also. So that's required. Is that all right?
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
There's one other thing. Avidya rachitam nirartika. Nirartika means meaningless. Nirarta, without any meaning. So that's the vision that they have. Plashanti, the liberated souls, sees all material varieties as avidya, created by ignorance, created by Maya. So whatever is created by ignorance is nirartika, meaningless. That vision, all these varieties of I'm white, you're black, this, that, these are all nirartika, bodily designations, meaningless. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, we have something in the chat from Rari Gupta Prabhu. I also, before that, I wanted to take a pause for host logistics since I'm leaving at 7:30, so I'm going to leave the YouTube recording going and just make others the co-hosts so that when you leave, the YouTube ends.
Okay, good job.
Okay, question from Murari Gupta Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj, do you see a practical way for a modern leader to stop or at least restrict meat eating as part of government policy?
If he's powerful, then he can do things. The powerless head of state can't, but a powerful head of state can do these things. I had a thought as a matter of policy that in regard to meat eating, intoxicants, those two to begin with, and others also, because people will complain that no, you can't stop us. So a first step, no advertising of any of these things. You can take your cigarettes, you can take your intoxicants, but nothing can be advertised, not at all. Not at all. As a first step, because all the advertisers are heavily invested in making money at the expense of the health of the citizens, the welfare of the citizens, and so on. So first thing, then there's no constitutional objection. This is not freedom of speech. Commercially motivated speech is not entitled to freedom from regulation. No advertising, not anywhere. That would be powerful. But of course, the real thing is just none of these things: no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. But that's those kind of sweeping reforms require great power and can't be done. Very difficult to do overnight. So you can take this, those who are running for office, take this as a policy that if I'm elected, we'll have no advertising for intoxicants, not for vaping, not for cigarettes, not for liquor. All right, you want them, you can buy them, but no advertising whatsoever. Among other things, that would mean that a lot of our media would fall apart because they depend so heavily on investments from advertisers and activities. So that would be a benefit. There's some comments there. Oh, I see.
I can read this one from Naveen Prabhu. If Nitya Pada means eternally conditioned, how are the jivas still able to go back to Godhead? Does eternal mean almost eternal in this case? Oh, and by the way, I'm going to leave very soon. So
okay. And who's looking after our chat box after you leave? because the letters are a little small for me.
Yeah, I need to work out in the future talking to different people who might be able to do that. Right now,
Do we have a volunteer on the spot?
I can monitor it if no one else wants to.
Okay, your offer, your kind offer is at once accepted. So as for Naveen's comment, yes, eternally means eternally up to now. What's that? Nityabhata, since time immemorial, since no one knows when, the conditioned souls have been conditioned by material nature, but they can be freed from material nature also. Then they're in the liberated category. And we have another comment. Could you read that for us? Oh, that's your own comment.
Yes.
So
Yes, I was just mentioning that Mahatma Gandhi, he restricted meat eating and alcohol prohibition in Gujarat. But at the same time, he still identified on the bodily platform. So there was always that, us and them. And I was listening to a class where Srila Prabhupada said there can't really be a unity if one is on the bodily platform, fighting for nationalism or communism or this or that ism. Hare Krishna.
yes, that's a fact. But yes, even now there are places that are restricted for me in Tirupati and other places. Like they has some restrictions in Mathura Vrindavan also. So if the government is strong, they can restrict, and they can restrict more. Now the government themselves, they sponsor these things, gambling in particular. So this is the sad situation. I guess I should read the next verse. Ayam bhuvo mandalam odayadrer koptaika viro nadadevanataha astaya jaitram ratam ata chapa varyasyate dakshinato vitarka. This king, being uniquely powerful and heroic, will have no competitor. He will travel around the globe on his victorious chariot, holding his invincible bow in his hand and appearing exactly like the sun, which rotates in its own orbit from the south. Purport. In this verse, the word yatarkaha indicates that the sun is not fixed, but is rotating in its orbit, which is set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita and also in other parts of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the sun rotates in its own orbit at the rate of the sun rotates in its own orbit according to the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conclusion is that the sun is not fixed in one place, as far as, is not fixed in one place. As far as Prithu Maharaj is concerned, it is indicated that his ruling power would extend all over the world. The Himalaya mountains, from which the sunrise is first seen, are called Udayachala or Udayadri. It is herein indicated that Prithu Maharaj's reign over the world would cover even the Himalaya mountains and extend to the borders of all oceans and seas. In other words, his reign would cover the entire planet. Excuse me, just need to get a little water. Okay. Going back in here. Yes. So the first point Srila Prabhupada makes is that the sun is moving in its orbit. Paryasyate dakshinata ayatar. Yes, yagnaya brahmati samvit. The sun is not sitting in one place. And of course, Sadhguru Prabhu made the point that whether the sun is standing still or moving depends on where you sit. From one point of, if you sit in one place, or if you look from one place, the earth is still and the sky is the sun is moving, and if you stand in another place, the sun is still and the earth is moving. You can satisfy the equations either way. It's just a question of what your point of view is, from what position you're looking. So the Vedic view is that the sun is moving and the earth is stationary. So it's just a question of where you're looking from. Then, another significant word in this verse is Natadeva. As described in the previous verses, the qualified king, be he King Prithu or any other king who rules over the state as an ideal king, should be understood to be God in human form. According to Vedic culture, the king is honored as the supreme personality of Godhead because he represents Narayan, who also gives protection to the citizen. He is therefore Nata, or the proprietor. Even Sanatan Goswami gave respect to the Nawab Hussain Shah as Natadeva, although the Nawab was Mohammedan. A king or governmental head must therefore be so competent to rule over the state that the citizens will worship him as God in human form. That is the professional stage for the head of any government or state. So this is, I think I mentioned this the other evening, not that unusual. We're, of course, shocked at the idea that the king could be regarded as God. But we understand, of course, that no one thought that the king is personally the supreme personality of Godhead in full, but he fully represents God. And that was there in even in the English monarchy, that the king, by the grace of God, James, King of England, it was really seen and therefore regicide, to kill a king, was an offense against not only the state but against God himself, because God had hosted this person as the king. So there was so much authority vested in the king. It was seen that if a person had authority, he had some special powers, some special empowerment, yes, by God. Even the parents were seen as representatives of God. Honor thy father and thy mother, because they're representing God for the child on behalf of the supreme personality of Godhead. The parents are caring for and disciplining the children. So the Brahmanya Deva, the Brahmins, also represent God because they give the knowledge given by God, or they give the yes, the Shastric knowledge on behalf of God. So God was seen in these contexts. It wasn't just anyone can be king, anyone can be anything. It's a position of responsibility and a position in which one serves the Lord. And the servant of the Lord is seen as representing the Lord. And Prabhupada's example is always there of the viceroy representing the king. So he represents God not only in disciplining on behalf of God, but also bestowing benefit on behalf of God, regulating the state, but protecting the state, seeing that the citizens are cared for, like as a father would care for the children. So Naradeva, that the king, the God in human form. And of course, in this particular case, Ritu is not only a king, but empowered, particularly empowered representative of the Lord. But here, qualified king, not any rascal, but the qualified king, Ritu or any other king, should be understood to God in human form. And probably gives the example of the Nawab Hossein Shah, who entered the assembly where Sanatana Goswami was studying Bhagavatam with the Brahmins, and the Brahmins all stood up because he was the king. They were Brahmins, and the king was a Mlechha, but they saw that he's by the grace of God, he's that. Okay. Anything else here? I guess I'm reading the two. Is that what's happening? Okay. Let's see. Asmain Rapala Kilatatra Palim Harishanti Kapala Vamsyanta Idam Striya Araja Chakrayud Satyasha Udhartya. When the king travels, other kings with them gods will offer him all kinds of presentations. Their queens will also consider him the original king, carries in his hands the emblems of club and disc, and will sing his fame, where he will be as reputable as the Supreme Personality of God. As far as reputation is concerned, the Supreme Personality of God, the word Adiraja means the original king. The original king is Narayan, or Lord Vishnu. People do not know that the original king, or Narayan, is actually the protector of all living entities. As confirmed in the Vedas, actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is maintaining all living entities. The king, or Naradeva, is his representative. As such, the king's duty is to personally supervise the distribution of wealth for the maintenance of all living entities. If he does so, he will be as reputable as Narayan. As mentioned in this verse, Sadyasha, literally carrying with him the reputation of the Supreme, because he was acting in the whole world in that capacity. Yes, all right. I don't have any further comments. Anyone? Okay. Mahim Gam Durudhe Dhiraja Prajapatir Prakara Yolil Rasa Kotya Intan Samgam Karod Yendra. This king, this protector of the citizens, is an extraordinary king and is equal to the Prajapati demigods. For the living facility of all citizens, he will milk the earth, which is like a cow. Not only that, but he will level the surface of the earth with the pointed ends of his bow, breaking all the hills, exactly as Kindra, the heavenly king, breaks mountains with his powerful thunderbolt. The Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this is how the women were glorifying the Ritu Maharaj in the 8th verse, starting with this one. We hear from the Puranas that Indra, this is something Indra does, he levels the ground by smashing mountains with his thunderbolt. When the ground is too mountainous, then you can't grow crops. Living becomes difficult. You want level ground as far as possible, although we know that there's cultivation of steps, as it were. But generally, the level ground is what's wanted. So here the king will be like Indra in leveling the ground, and he'll milk the earth. That's described elaborately in chapters to come, how Prithu Maharaj milked the earth in order to provide for citizens, in order to provide for the citizens. Any questions or comments?
Maharaj, I'm reminded of King Priyavrata, how he had this chariot with one wheel and he was following the sun god, and the rims of his chariot that sort of created these 7 oceans in the Bhumandala and 7 islands. Wondering that was he also empowered to? I suppose he has to have been to some degree. Hare Krishna.
No one can do anything. No one can be victorious. No one can be successful in doing anything. From that point of view, yad yad vibhutimat sattvam srimad urjitameva va. Yes, we understand that that's just a small fraction of power invested by Krishna or given by Krishna. The Arjun was able to be so powerful at Kurukshetra by energy given by Krishna. Otherwise, when the power was gone, so the understanding that you have some fame, you have some wealth, some knowledge, or some, but we should understand that these are all given. Krishna deserves or should I all as Prabhupada said, borrowed tunes quite something. Oh, but
Did Maharaj Shri get disconnected? And yes, he was cutting out quite a bit, but did Maharaj Shri get disconnected now?
I would say he did.
oh, I couldn't hear you, and it makes me wonder.
We do not hear you, Gurudev.
My connections are falling apart here. I don't know whether I was able to be heard.
We hear you
Was I?
now.
No. Now I'm able to be heard. Well, the point was just that whatever power we have is given by Krishna. So Krishna has taken away my power. 5 minutes ago, I was able to speak and say something and be heard. And then all of a sudden, Krishna takes the power away. And there's nothing but a broken signal or no signal at all. So everything's dependent on powers beyond us. Everything's contingent. If I have an internet connection, yeah, now I'm on a different line. So if Krishna, it's contingent. If I have a good connection, then I can be heard. If my connection is broken or impeded, then I can't even communicate. So it's ultimately we should be connected with Krishna in devotional service, and then we'll have some power, or whatever power we have will have meaning. It will not be avidya rachitam nirartikam, meaningless power received from the illusory energy. It will be power connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and our exercise of power, whether as king or as whatever, will be meaningful. Connected to Krishna, everything has meaning, and disconnected from Krishna, everything is meaningless. So, yes, we have 3 minutes left. Maybe Krishna Kontia Prabhu would like to lead Kirtan, or you're still there? Yes. If you would kindly lead Kirtan.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Vishnu Budaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimati Kuridas Maharaj Jayadvaita Swami Iti Namine Maharaj Vishnu Budaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharne Nirvisesha Srinivadi Asatyatishtane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Shri Guru and Guranga.
Haribo. Thank you very much, Krishna Kontiya Prabhu. Thank you to all the devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Thank you, sir.
Maharaj
Jaya.
Shri ki jai, Maharaj Shri ki sada jai ho.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai ho. All glories to the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.